What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, the Insane Game Freak here. So, I have and will always be a massive anime fan. And the wall of glory doesn't prove any of that. I've been collecting shows, DVDs, Blu-rays, box sets, figures since like 2008, 2009. Pretty much ever since I had a job and I had money and I fell in love with this medium and I could afford to express that love through monetary transfer of goods and services. But throughout this time of collecting and experimenting with different shows, I've come to learn a few things not only about the shows themselves, but the industry at large. And one of those things about the industry I've absolutely cannot stand is a particular company. So if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you already know where this is going, and obviously the title. But I do want to properly discuss Aniplex of America, a company that I have talked about numerous times, usually in a negative fashion because, god damn it, I already don't get a lot of access to some of these shows. Why do you make it more difficult? But I also want to talk about an ugly truth that is surrounding this whole thing. So if you're willing to engage and indulge with me with this beautiful journey we're about to take, I welcome you. Grab a bag of popcorn, some chips, whatever the hell you consume, and enjoy the show, as it were. So Aniplex, most people know for making the shows that people fell in love with. You know, recently Demon Slayer, Sword Art Online, Full Metal Alchemist, Madoka Magica, and most people only really knew them as an anime distribution company, a company that made the shows that we fell in love with, whether it was based off a manga or a light novel. But the way the anime industry originally worked, at least in regards to Aniplex, is that Aniplex would come to the US and get a distributor to license these shows out in the States. The way this normally works is let's use FMA as an example, right? We all know that back in the day, Funimation was the company that was known for pushing Full Metal Alchemist in the States, and that's what kind of got it its big American audience. The way it worked was that Funimation went over to Aniplex and went, hey, I'm going to present you a deal of how much money we'll pay you to get the license to distribute Full Metal Alchemist in America. So that means with these rights, you would have to pay for each individual one, meaning it was the TV distribution rights, the Blu-ray DVD distribution rights, and then the streaming rights. And once Aniplex and Funimation agreed, the deal was set and the money started rolling in, because then Funimation had the license to then put these shows on television, release them on Blu-ray, or stream them, which made their catalog bigger, which then provided them money to either A, license more shows, or the money that went back to the original creators, whether it was Aniplex or Arakawa, the original creator of the series in the first place, the royalties or whatever the agreement was. And that's how things were with most of Aniplex's shows. That was until about 2005, where Aniplex went, well, why are we paying you guys or going through you guys when we can do it ourselves? And that's where Aniplex of America was born, essentially cutting out the middleman. Your Funimations, your Bandai's, your Sentai Filmworks. Pretty much if you were Aniplex of America, but you had an Aniplex show, I'm gonna need you to give that stuff back. And man, they took all of this back. And a lot of you would ask the question, well, what's the big deal with them taking back the shows and distributing themselves in the US? I think you guys don't understand what a monopoly is. Using FMA as the example again, the only person who was allowed to distribute Full Metal Alchemist in America was the person who had the license to the anime. Aniplex has the license to the anime. So if they're only doing it themselves, that means you can only get it through Aniplex. Once again, it's FMA. They're obviously going to distribute it in America. What's the problem? Aniplex doesn't know what fair pricing structure is. And if you don't believe me, we're going to go through a couple of examples. Actually, if you've seen my YouTube channel in shorts, you've already seen those examples. We'll go over a couple more just to prove a point, though. This is Demon Slayer. We're just going to do the first season here. So the first season is 13 episodes or so. Not Mugen Train, not the Entertainment District arc, none of the new stuff, just the first season. The first season's 13 episodes. If you've watched or bought anything from early to mid 2000s, you know how much those box sets usually are. For a 13 episode box set, it would usually cost somewhere at worst maybe $60 or $70, right? Here's Demon Slayer's current price for just its first season. Yeah. Here's the kicker. They've been doing this kind of pricing structure since they got started back in the mid 2000s. So needless to say, you went from paying this much for Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood to paying this much for Full Alchemist Brotherhood. Here's the kicker. It's still this price today. You know, a show from like 2009? Yeah. Do you see the problem?
Aniplex. Shut your lame ass up, nigga.
And here's the thing. I don't want to be one of those guys who's just talking out of his ass and not showing me any proof in the pudding and the suffering I've gone through as a collector. For example, I tried out Dura back in the day. This is the entire first season. You're probably wondering, the first season's what? Like 26 episodes? Yeah. Why is it in 3 DVDs? Because each DVD had fucking, what is this, 9 episodes on the back. So you had to spend money for all 9 episodes. You're probably wondering, well, how much were all each of these episodes? Fucking $40. I spent $120 just to own the first season of this show. And for those who know, Dura has 2 seasons. Bruh, you don't even want to see the prices they put those things on for the second season, which is split up even more than this was. Bro, and like a dumbass, when it came on Blu-ray, I wanted it on Blu-ray. So what did I do? I spent the money. How much was this, you might be asking? $150. And what do you get for $150? You get essentially what you wanted to begin with. What did you want in the begin with? Just one fucking box set. It's still split into 3 DVDs or 3 Blu-ray cassettes, but essentially it's just the first season again, but on Blu-ray. So for those who are wondering, yes, I own Dura season 1 twice because I'm a crazy person. That's when I really first ran into them. I was like, yo, why is this so expensive when it's the same show and years have passed? It's not like the Blu-ray came out like right after the DVD. It took a minute, and somehow this ended up being more expensive. And why? Mainly because it comes in a lunchbox. Do I like the lunchbox? Absolutely, I do like the lunchbox, but that's not enough for $150. Or maybe it was because I did pay for it. Another perfect example is Gurren Lagann. Remember this box set, the original one, the DVD one? The Anime Legends box set, which was like $20-something. Nothing crazy. Had every single episode on the back. You didn't have to buy another box set, another cassette, whatever. It was just this. Cool. When Aniplex got back the license, cool, of course they would re-release it in their own set. Well, what did they do? They released a 25 episode series into 5 fucking box sets. And you want to know how many episodes on each of these things? Oh, that's right. 5 episodes a piece. And if you're curious, how much did each of these cost? Oh, the only thing that's different about them is that it's just the Blu-ray and the Aniplex edition. How much do you think these cost a piece? $50. You know what that means? That means I had to spend $250 just to get this bitch on Blu-ray. And let's not even talk about some of the other exceptions I've talked about before, like Wagneria up here. Wagneria's first 2 seasons were handled by NIS. NIS were cool and made these cool big ass box sets that, even though were like $60-something, it was the whole season, right? Then all of a sudden it goes to Aniplex for the 3rd season because they own the original rights. They never re-released these first 2 seasons themselves, by the way. They never really released these. You know what they did instead? They just released the 3rd season into 2 separate box sets. Guess how much these things are? If you go look these up right now, they're like fucking, what is it? I think it's like $80 or $90 a piece, and then they let them bitches get discontinued. I've been dealing with this shit for years. I'm not talking like some casual who doesn't know the struggle for this shit. It sucks. It sucks when you want to just own one of your favorite series, and what's the problem? It's too fucking expensive, and all this for the goddamn Blu-ray. And of course, you could do the thing that most people would suggest: buy used, buy from Japan. Why the fuck do we Americans have to deal with this shit, huh? I gotta import all of this stuff? The stuff that we grew up watching? Gurren Lagann was on TV, for God's sakes. So was Dura, actually. They were all on television. But you know, if you ever want to own it, just spend $270, $120, $150. And it's just like this constant string of suffering. It just kept fucking going, and it never fucking stopped. And I had to sit there and question, how in the world are they still making money when you're selling all this shit for ridiculous prices? Because I know the majority of people ain't paying for this shit. I'm crazy. It's in the name of the channel. That's who I be. But the rest of you guys are responsible adults. Responsible adults. So where the fuck are you making this money from? Especially when we're losing companies out of business. Fucking Bandai doesn't even release anime box sets on their own anymore. Fucking NIS, the one that made their first 2 seasons of Wagneria, doesn't release box sets anymore. But fucking Aniplex of America still running? Still releasing shit? How? Why? So, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this stuff, considering how much time and money I've invested. And some of you in the comments will probably go, well, you've been investing in this stuff so long, you think you would have figured out why things are the way that they are. I have. Shut your dumb ass up. So the reason why things are the way they are, and it's actually pretty simple, is that Aniplex, all they're really doing is taking the pricing structure from Japan and applying it to the US. Although I don't think there's an understanding of why things are the way that they are. For example, in Japan, all the original content, whether the series is based off of a manga or a light novel or a manhwa or whatever, or a doujin for God's sakes, that all that stuff is rarely available in Japan. People forget that anime is literally meant to be a promotion for the original content. That's why you have a bunch of series that come out and only have 1 or 2 seasons, and the manga's been going for like 8 or 9 years. It's just more expensive and it's not worth making multiple seasons of. But the reason why this is important is because the way Aniplex handles it in Japan is that when episode 3 of a show that's currently airing comes out, the Blu-ray and DVD is probably coming out in the same week. The States, we don't do any of that. We don't even do that for our own shows, let alone shows from a completely different country. So that's where the 3 to 4 episode box sets come from that cost $70 to $90. And some of you would go, that's insane. Why would you pay that? Well, think about it. That's like one of the newest and hottest episodes of Demon Slayer came out, and the animation looked like God, and everyone freaked out and lost their minds. People want to watch that episode over and over again. Well, think about it. You can then promote the Blu-ray that has that episode on it with the copy of the manga or something, you know, cross promotion like it's supposed to do. But essentially all Aniplex is doing is taking those 3 to 4 episode box sets that cost $70 to $90 and slightly tweaking them for Americans, because, you know, Americans are not spending $90 for 3 to 4 episodes. And it's this pricing structure that has led to multiple shows that Aniplex of America has licensed in the States being at absurd prices for over a decade. Things like Bakemonogatari, Madoka Magica, Demon Slayer, Sword Art Online. Everything is still overpriced like crazy. But then the question arises, with all this crazy pricing structure, there's no way they have to be making any money off of this. It's insane. Who's out here spending $150, $200, $500 just for a single season of a show? There's no way. But then you turn around and look and see there are multiple other companies that aren't in business anymore. They don't exist. So what's Aniplex of America doing that no one else is doing, or that the Chico hasn't been figured out for yet? And this gets into the sad reality of what keeps them in business and kind of a darker truth to the anime industry at large, at least in the States. The American anime industry has gotten weaker, a lot weaker. Yeah, it's more popular in the mainstream, but that doesn't mean people are out here buying stuff. That fandom isn't translating to monetary value. And another thing you guys have to realize is that Aniplex, for all the shows and all the great content it provides us, recognizes a simple truth. Not every show that they make is gonna blow up over here in the States. Hell, even some of the shows that do blow up in the States, once again, doesn't necessarily translate to monetary value. So I'll use a show like, I don't know, Bakemonogatari, for example. Bakemonogatari, the first season is 12 episodes or 13, and its premise is essentially a pseudo-harem series. Even though it's very stylized and artistic, that's really what it is. But I'm gonna be real with you, that show isn't gonna get the same type of mainstream attention as Demon Slayer. So as a result, in Aniplex's mind, what's the point of putting in X amount of dollars into a series to promote it in the West, knowing that there's a lesser chance that they will hit that return on their investment? Let's be honest here. Demon Slayer has way more mass market appeal than Bakemonogatari. Not that both of the shows aren't good or they don't have a premise that's easy to understand. It's just that one appeals to the general audience or the casual way better than the other. So having a box set that's $30 for Bakemonogatari, guess what? It's still only going to sell to 30 to 40 people. Cool. Well, that's not enough to make back an investment. But here's the thing Aniplex realized. Because it's so niche, if you're into Bakemonogatari, you were probably going to buy Bakemonogatari no matter what. Whether it was $30 or $40 or $50 or $80 or $120 or $200. And that's why every single one of their box sets, regardless of the bigness or mass market appeal of the show, is still like $200, $150 just to get 13 episodes. And some of you would go, but what about Demon Slayer? All that money they made off of Mugen Train and all the other movies, why are their box sets so expensive? Well, it's simple. Just because you went and watched the movie in theaters doesn't mean you're about to go buy the Blu-ray or the DVD or the collection. Let's be real here. Of all the movies that me and you and the rest of the world have seen, do you own a box set for every single movie? Even the ones you love. Not everyone owns box sets for those movies. So even though Demon Slayer has mass market appeal, that doesn't necessarily translate directly into funds. It helps. It absolutely helps. But it still doesn't translate. And like I said, as a whole, the anime industry in the States is a lot lower than it used to be. We've been on a steady decline for years at this point. So in Aniplex's eyes is, I'm gonna get the most bang for my buck. Even if only 13 people buy fucking, I don't know, Arakawa Under the Bridge. If it's $150 a pop, I've made over $1,000 on that series just through those 15 to 30 people. That's how they look at it. And that's probably how they're able to stay in business. And some of you say it sucks, because it does suck. It sucks to see a show that you love to death only be available in this one place for this one price for over a decade with no sales, no discounts, no nothing. It's frustrating. That's why when Aniplex said they were taking back all of their shows from the other distributors, my first thought was, yo, I gotta go buy this stuff now, because I know Aniplex doesn't lower their price. And it's frustrating, but it's more frustrating to know that because physical media is dying out and there's less of an interest in physical media, they can get away with this with no real consequences. At the end of the day, anime and manga and all that stuff will always be a Japanese exclusive thing. And Americans, if you don't put in the interest or the financial money where your mouth is, there is no reason for them to financially invest in doing anything different. And let's be real here, as time has shown us, and let me be honest here, even as time has shown us, and let's be perfectly honest here, even the companies that have given us these cool discounts and box sets financially went, damn, we still can't afford it. Hey, you gave me a cool premium box set, awesome. Not enough to keep the lights on. And that's why we lost so many companies. They couldn't afford it. Aniplex's method might be fucked up, but it keeps them in business and at least allows them to justify still releasing Blu-rays and DVDs. And the kicker with all this is, some of these shows still got lost to time. You can't even buy Wagnerias off of the site anymore. You can't really buy all the Duraras off of the site anymore. Hell, the first season of Bakemonogatari is not even available anymore to buy. So even with all that I've said, you still lose if you don't get the shit within a time limit. That's the frustrating part. No matter what I do, if I try to wait for a discount, bang, just falls out of print. Because let's be real here, if it's a show that only sells 30 copies, that means they probably had those 30 copies over the last decade and they just finally sold that 30th one. I ain't about to go back and fucking pay for some more shipments. It took 10 years to sell 30 copies. It's done, ladies and gentlemen. Finito. Over. Dunzo. It's it. And like I said, I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me. I've been wanting Bakemonogatari first season, for example, for the entire time, and I never bought it. I was like, come on, it's got to drop in price. It's got to do something. And so you know what people are doing? They're just going and buying the Japanese copies. That fucking sucks. Why is that my only option? But that's what people do. And honestly, and let's be real here, I'm only talking to a small amount of you guys anyway, because most of you guys either stream it, whether you stream it the One Piece way or the there is no translation for like legal. What's the legal way? Do you stream One Piece do you stream anime the One Piece way or the Donald Trump way? I like One Piece. I think One Piece is a great series. It's a beautiful series. It's a wonderful series. Me and my friends, we talk all about it. It's just great. It's amazing. Man, fuck. The point is that as far as anime and manga is concerned, we are in the dying class of if you were a physical manga and anime collector, your options are slim as it is. And at this point, it's almost just better to go ahead and import from the other states. Because if it's something coming out of Aniplex's pocket, you ain't never seeing that shit again. I didn't mean to end things on like a somber note, but that's really what it is. Buying anime, Blu-rays, and DVDs in the States is essentially turned into a gotcha game. They know that the majority of people are not gonna buy any of this stuff. So you know who they're banking on? The whales! These fuckers who are willing to spend large amounts of money because they care about this series that they love to death so much that they'll drop down an exorbitant amount of prices to get that series. I mean, I've already proven my whaleness by owning Durarara twice, going out and getting the Wagneria DVDs or the Gurren Lagann Blu-rays. Do I need to own those things multiple times? No. Is it benefiting me? No. Why do I keep doing it? Because I love my shit. Also, I've been going into manga collecting more often because this shit is rough. Shit is rough. Gurren Lagann I spent $250 for. When back in the day, you could get that box set for $26. It's almost like I didn't learn my fucking lesson. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go see if my Fairy series is available on Blu-ray. Woo! Life's a game. Play to win, and I will catch you guys later. He saw.